Sahana bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Nice to see so many faces today. Where were we? We were on how does reflection convert knowledge to wisdom? How does it convert? You're repeating a thought flow. So therefore, the new thought flow becomes strong. But you have made this one strong over the last 20 years. So how will the new thought ever counter it? What is your answer to that?
Because this new thought is being generated from a subtler equipment.
Well, now that your intellect is doing a job, it will be done much quicker. Because the subtler the equipment you use, the more work it does. Right? Like you take, you try to do something with your hands. Okay, and then you add something to it, you make it slightly better. You add a hammer, or you add something, so that the sum total of what you're using now is more. And then obviously the job becomes easier. Now you say the hammer is not subtler than my hand. Deepraj, that's what you're thinking, right? So, no. Okay. What is subtler is the thought that you have that I can add this and make it quicker. That has been the whole story of mankind up till today. That, mankind has been largely lazy and has looked for ways of doing jobs quicker, better, faster. And the consequence of that is we have all this technology. And today, of course, is our great Ch9.19. Anybody I give a job to nowadays, they say, I will go to Ch9.19. So if they don't do anything nowadays, oh well, they do much more nowadays because Ch9.19 has become everybody's personal assistant. So now as you do something with the subtler equipment, you're able to do a lot more. So that's how reflection converts the knowledge, that means just a thought, into a deeper thought. And therefore, the deeper thought now will propel action. Right? So far, so good. All right. So shall we continue? Yeah, Deepak.
This is a deeper thought because the intellect has looked at it from different angles and repeated it, but it's also doesn't ever become unregulated, meaning it won't start multiplying in the mind. It will stay in the intellect. I mean,
the moment your intellect conquers something, okay, when you say my intellect has conquered something, what does it mean? In actual terms, what does it mean? It means that the mind has changed. Right? So you were, let us say, an indisciplined person. And then you gave yourself a schedule and you worked very, very hard and you made the schedule. Now you're able to do the schedule largely all right. You don't make any mistakes. I mean, you're able to do this. To be able to do it, what has happened? The mind has changed. Now the mind has no objection. The mind likes it. The mind does it. So the moment the intellect conquers something, it actually becomes the mind. That is why you have to consistently up the ante. The moment you can do it, it's your mind. So don't think you can relax. You can't.
Got
Work is going to be on.
Thank you.
All right. So shall we continue? Anybody else has anything? Anybody's new? Ashok Kumar Kaushik, are you new to this class? And AI R Rao, are you all new?
Yes, ma'am. I'm new.
Okay. So this is the book we are reading in this class. How do you know what you know? How did you know about this class?
From the YouTube, I got in touch
okay.
with YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. So you know what we are doing. All right, fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So we are on page 246. And Ashok Kumar Kaushik, what about you? You know what we are doing?
The audio is not connected. I don't think you can reply.
Okay. Okay, so then let's continue. Well, anyone who's new and something is not clear, please, please feel free to ask. If you've been seeing the YouTube channel, you know that everybody asks, so please feel free to ask. Okay, we continue.
Janki ma'am, page 246, right?
Yes, 246.
Okay.
Okay. Intellect, values, and logic. Okay, we are going to understand what is all the connection between these three things. Is developing the intellect the same as developing higher values? This is a frequent question people have. Is developing the intellect same as developing higher values? Obviously, higher values necessitates a better intellect because its discrimination is more pervasive. Is this clear? If you have to have a higher value, that means you're able to tell the difference between more, higher, and lower. So it's more pervasive. You can tell it in more areas. So obviously it means that you have a better intellect. It includes many more factors. Yet, one may have higher values and not be very logical. Not all good people have a logical basis. As information is just one of the ways to grow, it is possible that a person may have achieved growth in some other manner. Okay, now this is a very, you have to just think this thing through properly, that to be able to tell, to have the discrimination between more, higher, and lower, obviously your intellect has to be better. But as a matter of fact in life, you will see that good people, that means they're very good values, they may not be logical at all. They may not have been reasonable. Forget logical. They may not even be reasonable. You all experienced this, right? So what's happening here? What is happening here is that information, that means by information, we mean the process of learning and growth, Jnana Yoga, is just one of the ways to grow. Which are the other ways to grow?
Bhakti and karma.
Bhakti and karma. Very good. They are also available. Okay, then if this be the case, it is also possible that she may not have grown equally in all ways. This is what happens when development is not systematically pursued. Growth is left untended. Now you will find this, as a matter of fact, I mean, in terms of what you can actually observe in life, you will be able to see this is true, right? You will see that some people are very good at some things, and some people are, I mean, they're just very good at something. They may be an extremely good giver, or they may be extremely patient, or extremely perfect at their work. They're very good at something. But that same person who's so good at doing that, whatever it is he or she is doing, is not very good when it comes to something else. Haven't you noticed that? Now, what is happening here is that if you're not, if from childhood you have not pursued development properly, then development becomes lopsided. Okay, somebody has paid attention to something for you, either you yourself or somebody else. Could be a parent, could be a teacher, could be you yourself. You paid attention to that part and you become very good at it. And it never occurred to you that there were all these other parts as well. Like somebody may be an extremely disciplined person, but they don't understand giving. Or maybe a very giving person, but they don't understand discipline. So we have to understand, whenever we are studying Vedanta, we have to understand that we're studying what is actually happening. We're not talking about some idealistic utopian world, but what is our ground reality. So why we find this difference is because development was not systematically done. Is this clear so far? All okay so far?
Systematically done meaning consciously not done?
Yeah, systematic. Yeah, consciously, you can't be systematic and not conscious. What means somebody, either you or anybody else, has to have seen that you have to do karma, you have to do bhakti, you have to do jnana, you have to do it all. So either you did it or you didn't do it. Now, nobody does karma, bhakti, jnana because they don't know these terms. But what they do, if you're in school, for instance, you may study very well, but you may not take part in sports. Or you may take part in sports, but have nothing to do with music. Or, something like that. Or you're very good at studies, very good at sports, you're very good at music, but you can't get along with anyone. You're a very arrogant person. So somebody has to ensure that every part of this is being taken care of. Somebody means either your parent or your teacher or you or an elder sibling, or somebody has to do this. If it isn't, then you'll be very good at that thing, just that thing. Now, do not confuse this with a Sachin Tendulkar who was born very good at cricket and therefore his studies may not have been at par, which is different from he's put in effort in everything. He has put his effort in everything. Now, he doesn't have the ability in studies as much as he has in cricket. Then obviously his cricket will appear more. Okay. The problem with understanding life is that there are so many variables that you have to fix some to talk of something. If you don't fix it, then the moment you change this variable, change that variable. You have to fix all the others. Otherwise, it becomes impossible because the variables are so many in it. Yeah, sorry, Deepraj, what were you saying?
But one has to focus on one thing to get it done well. If he starts focusing on all aspects, it might just be like,
No, you can't do that, no? How can you do that? You say, okay, I'm only going to do jnana, I'm not going to do bhakti. You can't do that. When you're doing something, focus on that. Now that you're in class, don't start listening to music. When you're listening to music, don't start thinking about class. So when you're doing something, that is your whole world. But at that time, though you're doing it, your schedule, your day schedule, what they used to call dincharya, has got everything. You can't say, I'm so focused on my studies, I can't eat my food. No, you have to eat your food also. That too at the right time. Or I'm so focused on eating my food, I can't study. You have to study also. Can you just excuse me for a minute, please? Joyce, what is meant by discrimination is more pervasive. Or what is meant by discrimination is more pervasive means you can discriminate in more things. If you can discriminate in only a very few areas, that means it's less pervasive. Means pervasive. It's in more places. So
It's more.
It is. You can do it in more arenas, in more areas.
Yes, that's clear. Thank you. It's more comprehensive.
Yes, more comprehensive. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
You always give me the right word. Yes.
No.
Yeah, Momita.
Nowadays, we ask children very early on to focus on one particular thing, and they spend hours developing that particular talent. So naturally, they are lopsided in their development. Nobody really thinks of, because everything is so competitive. So if you're good at cricket, then you spend 8 hours a day practicing cricket from such a young age. But that doesn't really take care of you as an individual.
Yeah.
So lopsided development becomes natural, although, I mean, we encourage specialists at an age when we should all be learning to be generalists.
No, we can't make any prescriptive statements, but it is true that you have to maintain balance in life. There are some people who are geniuses and they will do their thing. You can't tell Beethoven, for instance, that you go and play sport. He may not. But he will still have to do something to take care of the physical activity that his body needs. And so he or somebody, his well-wisher in some way or manner, has to ensure that. So this is not prescriptive, like saying everybody has to do everything. We are not prescribing anything. All we are doing is we are saying that in terms of that individual, a balance has to be maintained. In terms of him, in terms of his abilities, his nature, and all of that. And some things we all have to do, right? We all have to exercise. I mean, you can't say, I don't have any swadharma for exercise. It makes no sense. You have a body, you have to move it. So we are not saying don't specialize. There's no prescriptive thing here. It's just an explanation of how is it that some people are so good at something and something else is so completely missed out in terms of their growth, in terms of their sadhana. So usually when you're good at something also, you tend to, people or you tend to encash that so much. Like, let's make maximum money out of it, or let's get the maximum trophies out of it, and cash it so much that you run that individual to the ground. So you'll see many sports stars, gymnasts, things like that. Their career is over by the time they're 20 years old. I mean, like what? There's endless stories of people who blossomed very early and then they burnt out, and then after that, nothing. So, so all this is, nobody's thinking about the human being. They're focused on all sorts of things. We're not thinking about the human being himself or herself. So we have so many things in mind. The well-being of the individual doesn't occur to us.
So, but to encourage the human being in a person, we should not, we should be careful about just looking at a prodigy or someone with a special talent in something, and instead of making them spread out in more areas, we're encouraging that person and then glorifying this whole tendency to obsess over something and to shine in that particular field, whether you're a sports person or a singer. I mean, that ability or that talent is not worth the entire life of that person. But
that is not for us to say. That is for the individual to decide. But
then the individual becomes overwhelmed by social adulation and the promotion of these things. So then, and
like
their children, when
yeah, but it's same like yesterday, right? You start on the wrong foot, you will go on the wrong foot. What can anyone do? The parent doesn't know, the teacher doesn't know, the child doesn't know, society doesn't know. Only one solution: start the university and get more people to know. What else can you do? I mean, one sensible person has to be there in the environment, If everybody's an idiot up now, कौन क्या कर सकता है? Somebody must be sensible and say, okay, so, this is a genius and it's a wonderful thing that this person is a genius in this field, and we have to encourage this because it's a very rare talent. But we're encouraging the talent. We're encouraging the human being with his talent, not encashing it for something, which is what happened. All the child stars, whether they are movie stars, sports stars, it's a sad thing what happens to them. Just make the most of it, make the most money you can. Most of it is usually make the most money. Sad it is, but that's that. But anyway, here this point is, how come you can have high values? And so high values means discrimination must be good. Then if discrimination is good, then why are you not a logical, reasonable person? So it's not only explaining that idea. We're not telling anybody what to do. It is explaining this idea. This is the problem with Vedanta. It's not ever telling anybody what to do. It's only saying this is the fact of life. Now you do with it whatever you want to do. Okay, shall we continue? So we explained that. Why is that? Because development is not systematically pursued. So it is all left untended. Even the best rose will look terrible if it is an untended rose bush, right? It's just growing wild. So it will not look good. The attempt to be logical starts the reflection process. Without logic, it is difficult to be reasonable. But logic is highly dependent on data. What one cannot see, one cannot apply logic to. This is such an important statement. Logic is highly dependent on data. What one cannot see, one cannot apply logic to. You can't see it. How can you apply logic to it? It just can't be done, right? Here is an example. Crime pays more quickly than business. I want more and quicker money. Therefore, I should take up crime. A very logical thing, right? And it's factually true. Crime pays more and it will pay it quicker than business, correct? I want more money. That's a given. So what should I do? Take up crime. So if you can't see something, what are you going to apply logic to? Your your application of logic in this is correct. Because your data is this. That's the frightening thing. This seems valid only as long as one can see this much data. But if one adds more data, it does not seem so anymore. Consider other factors like risk, morals, human relations, etc. The conclusion could change. As long as you're seeing these two lines, your logic is perfect. You will have to have more things to see before the conclusion will change. When one studies logic, what seemed obviously correct starts appearing incomplete at best. This is the beginning of objectivity. What was very logical seems now incomplete. Now you started becoming an objective person. If one refuses to see logic, how will one proceed? However, if one is incapable of seeing other factors, the logic will rest on the factors one sees. Higher values enable one to see more. A higher intellect would not only not commit mistakes, but also take precautions against the mistakes of others. Deepak Sethi, you have a question?
Yeah, just one quick point. This particular example that we've gone through, would it be true to say that this is inductive logic? And
You could also add the word always, and then it will become deductive. I mean, it's true, right? Crime pays more. The statement is true. Crime will pay more than business does. Crime gives you faster money than business does. Correct statements.
yeah.
I want more money and I want it quickly. That is also a correct statement. Conclusion. I will take to crime.
Yeah. So it's not defeasible.
It is not defeasible. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid logic, isn't it?
Yeah. So therefore, when you
deductive,
add more data, which is then the characteristic of inductive logic, then say the conclusion can change, which is what will happen when we add the data that you have pointed out in the book.
Yeah, but if I add the word always, it becomes deductive, right?
Meaning
Now,
when you add the word always, at what stage?
First,
Crime always pays, is it?
It's a correct
Then,
statement. So
yeah,
it will
but
be both valid as well as sound.
Yes, but crime always pays then is then a very definitive statement, which is not a valid assumption, because then one would say, but that's not valid because by itself you can't say always pays, which is why it makes
I mean, in terms of, if I wanted money, I could come to you, ask for a job, and you give me a job, and then I work for 1 month, and then I get some money. Or alternatively, I will take a gun to you, take whatever money you have with you, and get my money immediately. That's a possibility, right? Now, the only reason this will this theory will not work is when I realized that there were more factors. My deductive logic is correct, but it is incomplete. My data is incomplete. That's the only way I'm going to break this down. Otherwise, for anybody who wants a quick buck, why not? Why should I not lie? Suppose I've come to your house, I'm your whatever, cleaner. Okay, and I have come to you from Urban Clap. And you have given me some job to do. Clean this, clean this, clean this, 5 jobs you gave me. I do 4 of them. And he asked me, have you finished all 5? I've finished all 5. And you pay me for 5, but I've done only 4. What's wrong with my logic? It's perfect. I can lie to you and I can get your money much quicker. Now for this person to say, no, I am going to provide all the service that I'm taking your money for, he needs to see more. If there is no more data, his logic is fine. Now, in this case, it is you could take it as inductive if you like, but for that person, he's not seeing it like that. He's not seeing that I'll add more factors. Unless you can see more, you can't think more. That is the problem. No, what is happening in today's world? What happened that there was a financial crash in US, which they haven't still recovered from. I mean, of course, COVID also hit them, but the original financial crisis is still the same thing. Why? Because the guys failed. Why should I, just do the accounts up? What do they call it? Do what to the accounts? Remember that term? They say, do something to the accounts.
Window dress.
Window dress.
Window dress.
Window dress.
Window dress your accounts and you're doing very well in life. Right? Now, why would I not? I got my promotion. I got a higher paycheck. I got everything. Why would I not? It's very reasonable.
Because the high values were not there while doing that window dressing.
Yeah, you didn't have the data.
Yeah.
You could only see this. Now you could only see I will get a promotion or I will get a higher paycheck. You can only see this. If that's your data, this is your conclusion given. Now you can't go and argue with that person and say, no, you did a wrong thing. You said you keep your values to yourself. Right? So we're not going into the technical inductive or deductive. The point here is only you didn't have the full data, therefore your conclusion has to be erroneous. But the problem is you think you have the full data. That's where the problem is. Obviously, no, you can't see anything more, so you think I've seen everything. Yeah, Pravesh?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this could be understood in this way, like if we want a continuous happiness and prosperity, then we need to collect more data. Otherwise, we will stay on this logic and will not be able to achieve continuous happiness. It's a momentarily happiness. I mean, these logics are okay, but will not get the happiness, continuous happiness with these kind of logics.
Yeah, you can say that. The point, yeah, what you're saying is a conclusion from what we are saying, which is true. The point here, the only point here is, if your data itself is limited, how will your logic work? And if you don't have higher values, your data is limited. That's the only point. What you're saying is a conclusion that you can derive from. Remember, Vedanta doesn't say anything, don't do nothing. It only puts the facts down. These are the facts. Now you do with it whatever you want to do. This is how this thing works. It's an amazing thing that they actually tell you how it works. I'm permanently fascinated. I don't know about you. 35 years, I continue to be fascinated. Okay, so is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
A higher intellect would not only not commit mistakes, but also take precautions against the mistakes of others. Now you see, Joyce, how it is more comprehensive. When your intellect becomes more pervasive, you just start seeing so many things. It is very easy for you to see how somebody is taking what you're saying. Normally, we say what we are saying. That's it. We said it. But we are not often sensitive to how is the other person taking it. We think we are doing somebody some good, but the other person may be insulted that you're doing that. Like, suppose there's a very patriarchal kind of man, okay? He thinks that as a man, he's supposed to run the family and all this sort of stuff. And then his wife sees that he's struggling in his business and things. Why not I also contribute something to the household? Since I'm earning, it's very easy for me to do that. And she goes and she tells her husband, since I'm earning well, I can contribute to the household. What is he hearing? Though her intent may be to be genuine, to help the household, what he is hearing is that
I'm not earning enough.
Yeah, I'm not earning enough.
And therefore he'll take it, he could take it personally.
Yeah,
And-
he will. He definitely will, because he's the patriarchal person. His concept of the wife having to pay for the household expenses means there's something terribly wrong with it. So she may not understand how he's going to hear what she's saying. And so when there's a major fight, she will go and tell her friends, look, I was being so nice, but then he fought with me so badly. And you will hear people tell us that. Haven't you heard people tell you that? Oh, I was so nice, but that person was so bad to me. The fact is, you're not hearing how it sounds, whatever nice thing you're saying, how it is sounding to the other person. So, being more pervasive, more comprehensive in how you're looking is a very important part of this thing. So, a higher intellect would not only commit mistakes, but also take precautions against the mistakes of others. There's a saying in Tamil language, do not sit under the palmyra tree and drink milk. The palmyra tree is used to make white liquor. Drinking milk under it leads onlookers to believe that we are drinking liquor and gives the reputation of being a drunkard. We will bear all the consequences of a bad reputation. A superior intellect prevents rather than cures, anticipates rather than rectifies. Sometimes absence of body is better than presence of mind. I think giving credit where credit is due, this is a line that my father-in-law often said. My husband says that I have to give him copyrights for all these lines that I use. This is my father-in-law's line. Absence of body is better than presence of mind. If you were not there in the situation in the first place, you would not have to have presence of mind in dealing with that situation. So rectification is not as good as prevention. Yeah, Jay?
Namaste, Janki ji. Madam, there was one quality of Gnani which you were teaching us in 13th chapter Bhagavad Gita, distaste for the crowded places, going to parties or mixing with the people for each and everything. And one has to be very take care of oneself. One has to, that last sentence of today's knowledge sheet, absence of body, presence of mind. Suppose I don't attend that party, I lose something. I don't know what. But my presence of mind, if it is not there in the party, then there is a possibility of losing much more. So risk is less by avoiding that party and doing something else constructive. So I was always feeling this point, that last point, absence of body versus presence of mind. Somehow I felt it is very, very relevant to my day-to-day life in my activities. Where there is something called Adi Nisturam, Ancha Nisturam. You may give me, you may call me idiot in the beginning, but later on you may accept me. He's like that. But in the process, I gain much more, and I can relax instead of always trying to be present in my mind while interacting.
If the party that you speak of is a dangerous situation and something is unnecessarily going to, you don't need to take unnecessary risks. Sometimes in life you have to take a risk, but you don't need to take unnecessary.
In my, I see many times my family also, outside official circles also, drop off for any simple reason also, get togethers, partying, showbazi, I don't know. I feel many times it is a wastage of time and resources, all that. It is not satsang, definitely. There it is only mixing with people, wearing good cloth, having good music, some sensual stimulation, pleasures, going around, find meaningless.
Yes, if you're finding it meaningless, then so, but please don't go and tell them that. That is my only suggestion. Yeah. So right. So it is an important thing that we are very, very particular, and we can see the consequence of what we are doing instead of sorting out troubles after they have come. And just like, you know, how much trouble in life can be saved by some actions. I can't even tell you. I'm sure in your own life you have examples of how much troubles have been saved or created because the first step was taken wrong. So if you have the right values, the right intellect, in the first place, you just don't do certain things. And when you don't do those certain things, life goes so smoothly. You know, some people will tell you stories of their lives which are so complicated. Yes, Momita, I think that is Reshma's, right? Joy of missing it here. So complicated because you start doing things and then to deal with something, you have to do something else. And yeah, Joyce.
I just have a question about the example of the Palmyra tree, because in fact, I am not, I am just drinking the milk of the tree and I'm not doing anything wrong, yet people might think that I am a drunk. So basically, it doesn't seem to be fair that I should avoid doing something that is not harmful to anyone or to myself, just because others will think and something bad of me. So this is what I don't understand is my action creates a reaction in people and I should avoid the reaction, although I'm not doing anything wrong, basically. But I should, I should avoid this in order not to create complications.
What you're saying is true, of course. We don't take actions based on what other people think of us. But we must know what this action having taken, what people are going to think of. And then if you decided to take that action, that's fine. That's up to you. But you cannot say, oh my God, I never thought they will think like this. But why didn't you think so? If if somebody is drinking milk, it's just plain milk. Why do you have to go and sit under a Palmyra tree and then drink that milk? Why don't you go sit anywhere else and drink it? You are calling on problems on yourself.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
it's not that you want to drink the whatever alcohol of that tree and you're pretending that you're not happy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you had no intention at you were not even doing this thing that people are accusing you.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
that-
But
yeah, so why got into trouble? Why should we unnecessarily get into trouble? I'll tell you a very, very common thing, especially us as an NGO, and you are part of an NGO too. Now, what happens is people have are very easy to suspect. So you have to take extra caution that you're doing it in a way that not only you're doing it correctly, but people are also seeing you do it correctly because you're dependent on public funds, right? No
Yes.
NGO works unless there is, unless you are, you're an HNI to begin with. So people have to, for instance, suppose we take funds from people, but we don't issue a receipt. Immediately in their mind, it will be, oh, they're doing something wrong, they're doing something negative. So your receipt must be very quick about it. Okay, and like lots of things like that. You have to ensure that the way you are living is not only correct in itself, but it also appears correct.
yes. So that
People jump to conclusions very quickly.
and they make misconceptions of what is the reality, the truth.
That's right. So you have to be very careful, especially when you're dependent upon, it is for the sake of your cause that you're doing.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
It doesn't mean you are changing your actions because of what other people think. That's a difference. Then that person will become very frustrated.
Yes.
It's just that the representation and what you're doing should be the same. If you are expecting, I mean, in this case, it's different, right? You're being accused for things that you're not doing.
Yes, exactly.
So we have to be careful because we're living in society. You have to be careful. Careful means you have to know this. Then what you do is up to you. You have to know what people can think about this thing.
And bear the consequence of the action. That you have to know what the consequence might be, and then you decide what you're
Whether
doing.
you want to take it or not. Because no part of this is prescriptive. It's just making a statement of fact. If you are sitting under that tree with a glass of milk, 99% of people around you will not ask you, what are you drinking? They will assume that it is.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jankit. I apologize for my cat.
Please. The more we investigated, the more clear our understanding of this will be. Oh, you're apologizing for little Miss Mia. What is her name?
Easy. I forgot to close the window, and when she sees me sitting at my laptop, she likes to come and ask for attention. Thank you.
All right, so far, Pravesh, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, if we are doing right actions, means as per the what I will say means right actions means in all aspects we are doing right actions, but the person around us, maybe the possibility is that they will some will like or some will not like. Then those who are not liking our actions will also means create some mess up for us. Then how our actions means, as we are saying, we all are responsible for any reaction, means action for reaction. Then that harmful means that reaction from other people that we are getting with respect to our action, how much that are justified?
How much?
How much that are justified means we are doing right actions, but with respect to those actions, we are getting the wrong intentions of other people. In that case,
depends. The question is a bit vague because many possibilities are there. It could be as a lady, you are being very friendly with somebody. See, when you come from a very cosmopolitan background, and you know, this is not in your head, men, women, and all is not in your head. But if you go into a small town where it is in their head, so then you talk normally as you are being friendly, but they will think something else. So you're meeting wrong intentions of others because you have not assessed I've entered a society where there is segregation of the sexes. Men talk to men, women talk to women. I've entered this society. So now I can't talk to those men. I have to now talk to only women. So that is how you meet wrong intentions. Otherwise, you can also meet wrong intentions because, let us say, you are an incorruptible officer in your company and somebody is wanting to take bribes. So obviously, he's not going to put up with you because you are a direct hit to his income. Right? So there's so many circumstances under which what you're saying can hold true. That's very difficult to give a general answer. So if it is the case of you violating social norms, then please do not violate social norms because people don't know how to deal with that. If it's a question of other people being negative people, then you have to deal with it accordingly. So when I say I am right, I have to see what is this wrong about the other person. Is he wicked, bad, selfish? Is he misunderstanding me? Is it that I have not communicated my affection to that person? Suppose it's a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. That mother-in-law is never happy. And mother-in-law is never happy, then have you communicated enough affection for the mother-in-law? Not communicated falsely, but do you have love in your heart? So when I'm saying I am right and the other person is reading this wrong, there are so many circumstances. Now we have to know which one it is and deal with it accordingly. So that is what it's saying, no, that do not, but if you undertake actions that lend themselves to misunderstanding, then you have no one but yourself to blame. Because the way you have done only, like so many times, right? Suppose even simple things for an NGO, you tell people, can you give so much money? You can't go like that and say, give so much money. They will think, ye log paisonge biche hai. They don't realize that, you know, it's being spent for the cause. So you have to put it across in a better way. Hundreds of things like so many permutations and combinations. As of now, only so much we're doing. But don't sit under the palmyra tree and drink milk. At least don't do this much. When you're doing the right action, but you're doing it in such a way that people will misunderstand. At least that much, we can avoid that much trouble on our head.
Thank you, ma'am.
So is this clear, the connection between intellect, values, and logic? The point is clear. What is the point over here? The point is that values means higher intellect, because otherwise how will you have the values? But values need not be accompanied with reasonableness or logic. That is because development has not been what should I say, the overall. Now, to be logical, you need values because
They give you a higher perspective.
can you say that in a more pragmatic manner?
They help you see the consequences of your actions further down the line.
Okay, good.
Like here, for example, if you are worried about, if you know that reputation is a significant value in society, then you would not unnecessarily put yours at risk because it will help you help
So fill in the blanks. Values give you more, fill in the blanks. One word. Anybody?
Vision.
Okay.
Penetrative vision.
Data.
Data, correct. It just gives you more data to work with. The more higher your values, the more data you have to work with.
Choice.
Could we say more relevant data? Because it's not just data, it is the kind of data that is required for a better decision. So more relevant data.
Okay, you can say more relevant data, but it gives you more data, it gives you more facts.
Yeah. But what I mean to say is, it's not just any more data, but it is, which is directed to the situation, more relevant. But yes, I mean, fundamentally, it gives you more data.
Yeah, that is the point. Why do you require values for logic? You can be very logical and not have values, right? It's perfectly justified argument you will have, but that will not give you good conclusions because your data is restricted or limited. Then what did we say? That when you understand more data, you can see, obviously, you can see ramifications a lot more. And therefore, you will have more prevention than cure. Okay, are we good with this so far? So good, everyone? Any questions? All right, so shall we proceed? Time for reflection. One needs to get away from the busyness of action and prioritize time to sit and reflect. So once we've established how important reflection is, if you have understood the importance of it, then you have to prioritize. Prioritize means doesn't mean saying it's so important. Prioritize means in your daily schedule, you have actually kept some time for it. That is what prioritize means. The best way to increase knowledge is to set out a daily time for study and reflection. It is as important as brushing one's teeth. This is a wrong statement, no? It is as important as brushing one's teeth. Isn't it more important? The editor has changed it. It's more important than brushing one's teeth or doing one's exercise. If one is not constantly in the pursuit of knowledge, one is stagnating. If one is not constantly in the pursuit of knowledge, one is stagnating. We owe it to ourselves and to others that we constantly strive for improvement. We owe it to ourselves and we owe it to others also. Why do we owe it to others?
Because we have received a lot from them.
Okay, even more than that, that's correct, Vishma, but
Interconnected living.
yeah, correct, Asha. They have to deal with us. All the issues we have, all the nonsense we do, they have to deal with it. We can stop irritating the hell out of people. Most of the time, we're just irritating them, right? So as we grow, we are irritating them less. So we owe it to ourselves and to others that we constantly strive for improvement. But when we have not improved, other people have to bear the consequences of this. I mean, we also have to bear and they also have to bear. Thus, it becomes our social, moral, and religious duty to apply ourselves to that which makes us truly human. This is our duty, both socially, morally, and religiously. In religiosity. So that we can be less of a problem for other people. We understand how people are a problem to us. But we don't always understand how we are a problem to people. So we have to constantly improve ourselves. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you all are all aware that we are all starting our next big project of